So we have discussed in the last class methods to improve transient stability. Okay, but in entire stability analysis, we assumed our disturbance or faults are three-phase faults. That means the fault or the disturbance will affect all three phases equally. All three phases equally. Understand? So whatever the short circuit fault we have considered, it is a three-phase short circuit fault. Okay, and we have done the complete analysis assuming that our disturbance is balanced disturbance and our faults are balanced faults. Okay, now suppose if an unbalanced fault occurs, asymmetrical or unbalanced fault occurs, then what are the methods that we need to adopt to improve the transient stability? So during fault analysis, we have studied that single line to ground fault at the terminals of alternator is more severe than a three-phase fault at the terminals of a alternator. Understand? What we have studied in fault analysis, we have studied that at the terminals of an alternator, single line to ground fault is more severe than a three-phase fault. Okay, and even we have seen that if a three-phase short circuit fault occurs at the terminals of alternator, if it is not a transient fault, then system will undergo severe acceleration and definitely the machine will lose stability. Considering all these factors, what we shall do at the terminals of generator, we use single pole circuit breakers instead of three pole circuit breakers. Okay, so these are the three conductors coming out of the generator. One is the R phase conductor, which will go and join in the R phase of the bus bar. This is Y phase and this is B phase. Okay, gentlemen, they are the three conductors that are coming from the generator. Okay, now R phase is having some load, Y phase is having some load, and B phase is having some load. Let us assume that this generator, while operating stably, the shaft power is 300 megawatt. Then your electrical output also will be how much? 300 megawatt. So each phase, if it is load is equally balanced, every phase will have 100 megawatt load. Every phase will have 100 megawatt load. Okay. Suppose if fault occurs on B phase, that means which fault occurred? Single line to ground fault occurred. If single line to ground fault occurs, if you use a three-pole circuit breaker, okay, then what will happen? The relay will sense the fault, it will give trip command to the circuit breaker, and it will completely open all three phases. So when the circuit breaker opens all three phases, then what will happen? The load on the alternator becomes zero. When the load on the alternator becomes zero, the net accelerating power on the shaft of the alternator becomes mechanical input minus electrical output. That will become 300 megawatt minus 0. That means 300 megawatt of total shaft power is trying to accelerate the rotor. So what will happen? Definitely maximum chances are there the machine will lose stability. That means the machine will become asynchronized. Understand? So what they thought, instead of using three-pole circuit breaker, if we use single pole circuit breaker, that means in R phase there is a circuit breaker, separate circuit breaker and separate relay. Okay. In Y phase, there is separate circuit breaker. And in B phase, likely, there is a separate circuit breaker and relay. Understand? So what happens in this case, if a single line to ground fault occurs, then only this B phase circuit breaker will open. B phase circuit breaker will open. So when B phase circuit breaker only opens, then this power output on B phase becomes 0 megawatt. But remaining two phases continue to supply the power. In this case, your accelerating power becomes what? The shaft power is 300 megawatt, which is constant. What is the electrical output? The electrical output is 200 megawatt because one phase is not supplying. So here the accelerating power is 100 megawatt. So here the acceleration undergone by the rotor is small. So the chances of retaining stability are more. I hope you understood the philosophy. So always we use single pole circuit breakers at the terminals of generator or in the very high voltage transmission line to reduce the intensity of short circuit on the rotor acceleration. Understood? Hello?
Sir. Yes, sir.
So using single pole circuit breakers instead of three pole circuit breakers will improve the stability of the system. How it will improve, that we have discussed. Okay. The second important point is grounding the neutral of generator with a resistance, grounding the generator of the neutral with a resistance and a neutral of synchronous motor with a reactance. Okay. This also can be explained in the same diagram. Just bear with me. Now, if I ground the neutral point of the alternator with a resistance, let us call this resistance as Rn. Now, if a single line to ground fault occurs, this fault current, how it will flow? This fault current will flow from the faulted conductor and it will enter into the system through the ground. So this is the path of your fault current. This is how your fault current will flow when a single line to ground fault occurs. Understand? So in this path, this fault current is flowing through Rn being pure resistor. What will happen? It will dissipate the power in the form of heat. How much power it will dissipate? Fault current square into Rn. Fault square, IF square into Rn. Now if you see this one, your net accelerating power in this case will become shaft power mechanical input, which is constant, and electrical output. Electrical output is how much? That is 2/3 of PS I can write, because one phase is handicapped, it is open, short circuited. Now the remaining power is also, that is IF square Rn is also being consumed or dissipated or wasted. It doesn't matter. Now stability is a main criteria. So even this heat dissipated in the neutral of the generator also reduces the accelerating power. So when PA is reduced, then the chances of retaining stability are more. Understand? So if you ground the neutral of generator with a pure resistor, which is having very good heat dissipating capacity, that means it should be very bulky in size. It should have very good heat dissipating mechanism. Then what it will do? It will contribute for the stability during short circuit faults. Understand? So why we have to ground the neutral of synchronous motor with a reactance, that I'll explain in the next slide. Understand? The last method is called resistance switching method. Resistance switching method. Here also it is nothing new. What happens? What happens when a fault occurs in any of the conductor? When a short circuit fault occurs in any of the conductor, then a resistor, a very low value resistance, that gets connected with the faulted line, that gets connected with the faulted line by a latch switch. Whenever the circuit breaker or opens, then this will get connected with the line. So this faulted resistance also will draw some current because its value is very less, so it will draw a big amount of current. Let us call that current as, say, IR dash. So it will also dissipate heat. So the total accelerating power, considering all three cases, will become shaft power minus the power transferred to load, minus the power dissipated in neutral resistance and the power dissipated in the switching resistance. So all these negative terms try to reduce the overall accelerating power, thus increasing the probability of retaining the stability. Understand? So just remember, nobody will ask all this logic and everything. Single pole circuit breakers will help us in improving the transient stability. The second thing is, if anybody asks in any interview which is the best method of grounding the generator, always you should ground the neutral of generator with a resistance. Why we have to ground with the resistance? Because it helps us to improve the power system stability. It helps us to improve the power system stability. And even this resistance switching method, it also helps in improving the stability. Okay. Next, in case of a motor, synchronous motor, okay, the input is, what is the input for synchronous motor? Electrical power, and the output is mechanical power. Input is electrical, output is mechanical. Suppose if a fault occurs at the input side, suppose a LG fault occurs at the input side, then which value is reduced? The input power is reduced. So your PA becomes PE minus PS. That is, if one phase is faulted, it will become 2/3 into electrical input minus PA. So this your PA becomes negative. So that means motor will deaccelerate. I already told you, generator will lose stability while accelerating, motor will lose stability while deaccelerating. Okay, so we have to increase the power input. Understand? So that means if you ground the neutral of the motor with a resistor, if you ground the motor of a neutral also with a resistance, then what happens? Whatever the fault current that flows, it will flow in this path. We know that. So this, what will happen? It will further increase the deaccelerating power. Why? Because in this case, PA will become, already the input is less. Again, there is a reduction in the input power in the form of IF square into Rn. This being IF, this is Rn. And then this minus PE. So overall, PA, deaccelerating power will increase. And motor will lose stability. So in order to nullify this term, to save our input real power, it is preferred to ground with the reactance Xn. So in this case, this term becomes 0. That means the heat dissipated becomes 0. So your deaccelerating power can be reduced. Your deaccelerating power can be reduced. That is the philosophy. For generator, you have to ground with a resistor. For motor, you have to ground with a reactance. Understand? So these are some objective questions which may come in these topics. Have you understood? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, ma'am. So let us take a simple question. A synchronous generator is connected to infinite bus bar through a double circuit transmission line as shown in the figure. It is initially delivering 1 per unit power to infinite bus bar. The inertia constant is 5 megajoules per MVA. A three-phase short circuit fault occurs in one of the transmission lines near the bus bar, not at the bus bar, and it is cleared by the circuit breaker. The critical clearing angle and critical clearing time for the above fault is. Understand? So he is asking both critical clearing angle and a critical clearing time. So from this data, what we can say, initially it is delivering how much power before fault? Before fault, your mechanical input and electrical output, that is equals to PM1 sin delta naught, is equals to 1 per unit. Is equals to 1 per unit. Understand? So from this, if you calculate this delta naught value, for that first you need to calculate PM1. PM1 is the steady state stability limit. That is maximum power that can be transferred before fault. This value can get it as sending end voltage magnitude, receiving end voltage magnitude divided by what is the transfer reactance? 0.35, and the parallel combination of, so X1 will become 0.35 plus parallel combination of 0.3 in parallel with 0.3 plus 0.05. So this value will become 0.55 per unit. So your steady state stability limit PM1 will become divided by 0.55. So what is this value? 2.18 per unit. This is this one. Now, what is PM2 transient stability limit is how much? 0. Why? Because the fault is occurring in one of the transmission line near the bus bar. So we already know, we have studied that if the fault occurs near the bus bar, the total fault current will flow like this. So power transfer to load is 0. So PM2 is 0. Similarly, what is PM3? PM3 is the maximum power that can be transferred after clearing fault. How you clear the fault? The two circuit breakers will open, which will disconnect this one half of the transmission line. So PM3 is going to become again 1.2 into 1 divided by the transfer reactance will become 0.7. This value is how much? 1.714 per unit. 1.714 per unit. So we have calculated PM1, PM3, PM2. What all you require for substituting in cos delta C? Delta naught and delta max. So delta naught is equals to sine inverse of PS by PM1, and delta max is equals to pi minus sine inverse of PS divided by PM3. So if you get all these values, the first value is how much? Sine inverse PS is 1, PM3 is 2.18. So sine inverse so this will become 27.30 degrees, and this value will become sine inverse of PS is 1, PM3 is 1.714. This value will become 35.69 degrees. Sorry, pi minus 1. So this value will become 144.3 degrees. So you know all the values. Now cos delta C is equals to PS into del max minus del naught plus PM3 cos delta max divided by PM3. If you substitute in this one, you are going to get critical clearing angle. That is 1. PS is 1 per unit, and delta max and delta naught you must substitute in radians. So I'm going to substitute these values as 144 minus 27.3 degrees. I'll convert this into pi by 180 plus PM3 is 1.714 into cos of 144 divided by 1.714. 1.714. Understand? So if you solve this one, you're going to get 67.68 degrees. Sorry, cos delta C value will become 0.38. If you take cos inverse of that one, you are going to get 67.68 degrees. So your delta C will become this value. Okay. So once you get delta C, how to convert into TC? TC formula is given by square root of 2m into delta C minus delta naught divided by PS, shaft power. So this will become, first you have to calculate m per unit value. M per unit is equals to h by pi f. H value is 5 into 50, and these values also you have to substitute in radians. So you are going to get 2 into 5 divided by pi into 50 into 67.68 minus 27.3 Again, you have to convert this into radians into pi divided by 180 whole divided by shaft power is 1. All values should be in per unit. So pi cancel. So you are going to get 10. So this value, if you simplify, you are going to get 211.9 millisecond. 211.9 millisecond. Understand? So when I send the video, just put the numbers and calculate yourself. I have done this problem so that you will get feel of the things. You will get how to calculate critical clearing angle, how to calculate the critical clearing time from the fundamentals. So tomorrow or day after tomorrow, when you get this lecture, just practice this problem by using your calculator so that you get the feel of the things, how the values will, you are going to get these values. Understand? So in this question, the one thing you have to remember is what are all the data that is required to calculate critical clearing angle. You require shaft power, PM3, delta naught, delta max, and to calculate TC you need to get the value of M per unit, delta C and delta naught. Always you must substitute in radians and shaft power in per unit. Understand? So if a synchronous generator which is feeding real power or active power to the infinite bus bar, suddenly if the total loss of field occurs, suddenly the excitation circuit becomes 0, then what will happen? That is the question. It runs as a induction generator. So induction generator is a equipment that supplies real power to the bus bar and that draws huge amount of reactive power from the bus bar. Remember those three things. In a synchronous generator, if prime mover gets disconnected, there are two excitations for a synchronous generator. One is a field excitation, the other one is a prime mover excitation. So one supplies mechanical input, the other supplies the magnetic field. So if mechanical input, if the prime mover gets disconnected, then synchronous generator acts as a synchronous motor. Suppose if the field gets disconnected, if the magnetic field circuit gets disconnected, then it acts as a induction generator. Understood? So it runs as an induction generator and it should be tripped after a time delay. This is undesirable operation. Okay. So again, I'm explaining you. Suppose this is a generator and it is connected to infinite bus bar. So in most of the cases, the generator supplies both real and reactive power to the infinite bus bar. So the direction of real power and direction of reactive power is from generator to the infinite bus bar. Understand? So what are the two excitations which the generator is having? One is the prime mover excitation. This is prime mover and this is DC field circuit. So that's why generator is called, the synchronous machine is called doubly excited machine. Suppose if the field circuit gets disconnected, because of some fault the field circuit is disconnected, then what will happen? It will supply real power to the infinite bus bar, but it will draw reactive power. Why reactive power is required? To establish magnetic field between stator and rotor. So that reactive power it draws from the infinite bus bar. This operation is called induction generator operation. Where it supplies the real power and it absorbs the reactive power. Understand? Suppose the field circuit is intact, but the prime mover is open. So in this case, what happens? It will supply reactive power, but however, it will draw the real power. It will draw the real power. Then its operation is as a synchronous motor. It operates as a synchronous motor. Remember these points. Transient stability limit or transient stability can be appreciably increased by introducing what? So what we have assumed during fault, the transfer reactance drastically increases. Highest transient reactance is X2. Transfer reactance during the fault. To reduce the transfer reactance during fault, who will help us? The most preferable method is series capacitance. Series capacitance. Understand? So series capacitance will help us to improve both steady state stability and transient stability, because it directly reduces the reactance. Once you connect a series capacitor, it will directly reduces the reactance. So that is the right option. Next, read. So PA, accelerating power, is we are having what we are having from same equation, m d square delta of t by dt is equals to PA, which implies PA is equals to, acceleration, rotor acceleration is d square delta of t by dt square is equals to PA divided by m. Okay, so m, what is the value of m? J into 2 by p square into omega r. Understand? So the rotor acceleration is inversely proportional to angular momentum. The angular momentum is directly proportional to what? The moment of inertia. So the rotor acceleration is inversely proportional to moment of inertia of the machine. Whenever a short circuit fault occurs, the accelerating power on the rotor is inversely proportional to the angular momentum or inertia constant, m value. But what is m value? M value is equals to J, moment of inertia. Momentum is equals to mass into velocity. The equivalent mass term is moment of inertia, and this is omega r. Why this 2 by p is converting? We are converting the mechanical momentum into electrical angular momentum. That is the concept. So the acceleration is inversely proportional to the moment of inertia of the machine. Okay. Next, read the next question.
Which one of the following statement is true?
Where the highest power can be transferred, during fault or before fault?
Steady state limit is greater than
Before
the
fault.
So if you remember the three curves, you can directly tell that the steady state stability limits is always greater than the transient states. Understood?
Yeah.
We have discussed many times. A is the right option. Steady state stability limit is always greater than the transient state stability limit. The electrical stiffness. Don't need to worry. Electrical stiffness means electrical stability only. Okay. Electrical stability of a synchronous generator connected to a very large grid. Grid means infinite bus bar. Can be increased by. So to be very honest, be very accurate, stiffness coefficient is nothing but synchronizing power. Synchronizing power. That is equals to dPe by d delta. So if Pe is equals to mod E into mod V divided by mod xt into sine delta, dP by d delta will become mod E into mod V divided by mod xt into cos delta. Okay, so at delta naught value. So synchronizing power or electrical stiffness means this is the quantity. So the electrical stiffness of synchronous generator can be connected to a very large grid, can be increased by operating generator. If your delta naught value is lesser is delta naught value, then greater is cos delta naught value. Understand? So greater will be the synchronizing power. We have already drawn curves and everything we have done. Okay. So it is all about correlating the problem questions with the theory which you have learned. That is important to crack any objective. So here, if we operate our power system at lower values of compared to the steady state stability limit, that means if you supply the power output which is far less than your steady state stability limit, then your delta naught value is smaller. If your delta naught value is smaller, your synchronizing power or stiffness coefficient is highest. Even you can see that even in one of the methods of improving transient stability, we told that lesser is the delta naught value, greater is the stability of the system. So for stability point of view, you should always keep your delta naught value as low as possible. That is the concept. Read the next question. It is only applicable for synchronous machines. Understand, equal area criteria is applicable only for synchronous machines. So out of this, all the three-phase synchronous motor is a motor for which the equal area criterion is applicable. Understood? Now someone read this question and try to answer. Three-phase fault with instantaneous clearing means if the fault gets instantaneously cleared, there will not be any swing. Your delta naught value will not change. Here a three-phase fault occurred and subsequently it is cleared. Why? Because fault occurred at delta naught, then suddenly the operating point is shifted from this to 0 because the fault occurred is a three-phase short circuit fault. In this case, if the fault occurs here, the power transferred during fault is 0. So the total shaft power will act as accelerating power. Then it accelerated. At delta C, the fault is cleared. So again, the operating point shifted here and it swung till this value, that is delta max. So when both the areas are equal, the rotor will halt where the condition equal to omega or equal to omega s, and then it will again fall back. Okay. So here, what is the fault? Here the fault is a three-phase short circuit fault with subsequent clearing. Because had it been instantaneous clearing, then there will not be any swing of the rotor. Since it had swung from delta naught to delta C and from delta C to delta max, so the fault occurred and subsequently after some time the fault is cleared. That is the concept. Read this question. Transient stability is generally improved by out of 4, which is the right option?
High speed governance on machines.
Yeah, using high speed governance systems. So if your speed governance system acts faster, then it will adjust the shaft input according to the load fluctuations. So fast acting speed governor system will improve transition stability. Next, read the next question. The use of high speed circuit breakers improves the stability of the system. High speed circuit breakers improves because they will clear the fault very quickly, so they help us in improving the system stability. Okay, so first initially a generator is there which is supplying power to say some load or some infinite bus bar, whatever. So how much power it is producing? It is supplying PS is equals to PE is equals to 1 per unit initially. And the initial value of rotor angle is 5 degrees. That is your delta naught value is 5 degrees. Delta naught value is 5 degrees. Then suddenly a bolted means dead short circuit three-phase fault occurred at the terminals of generator, and during this fault the mechanical input to the shaft is same. That is, the turbine is supplying the same 1 per unit power. Then the value of delta, what is the rotor angle delta? 0.02 seconds after the fault. 0.02 seconds after the fault. Initially it is operating at delta value is initial delta value is, let us say delta naught, it is 5 degrees. So fault occurred at t equal to 0. At t equal to 0.02 seconds, what is my delta value? What is my delta value? That is the question. Okay. The mechanical input did not change. It is always 1 per unit. Before fault also 1 per unit, and after, during fault also 1 per unit. So delta of t, there is one beautiful formula for delta of t which you have learned. Delta of t is equals to PS by 2m into t square plus delta naught. While deriving the critical clearing time, we will get this expression delta of t equal to PS by 2m into t square plus delta naught. Okay. So shaft power value is how much? 1 per unit. 2 into what is m per unit value? M per unit is given by h by pi f. But however, here he is asking delta value in degrees. So I have to substitute here h divided by 180 into f. So m per unit value will become, h value is 2 divided by pi into 100. Sorry, not pi. 180 into 100. 180 degrees into the frequency is 50 hertz. So if you substitute these values, you're going to get 2 into 180 by 180 into 50. Okay, what is t value? 0.02 whole square, because fault, after 0.02 seconds after the fault, plus delta naught is 5 degrees. Understand? So if you simplify all this, you're going to get 180 into 50 divided by 4 into 0.02 square plus 5 degrees. Total value will become 5.9 degrees. Total answer will become 5.9 degrees. He's asking the rotor angle, that is delta value 0.02 seconds after occurrence of fault. For this, you have to use this formula, which we have learned already. Okay. Yeah. Very simple question. You simply have to select what is the right waveform. Read the question and try to answer this one. A synchronous generator is supplying active power to infinite bus bar through a lossless transmission line, and it is initially in steady state. The mechanical power input to the generator and the voltage magnitude mod E are constant, if one of the parallel transmission line is stripped at t equal to t1 by opening of circuit breaker at both the ends, then it is seen that the generator undergoes stable transient. Which one of the following waveforms of the rotor angle delta shows the transient correctly? Anyone? See, gentlemen.
Yes.
Yeah.
B.
Option A.
Option
Yes, sir.
A. Option A is right. Tell me why. See, when both transmission lines are operating, let the initial angle is delta naught. So it is stably operating before fault. Suddenly one of the parallel transmission line is stripped. So then what will happen? Whether rotor will accelerate or deaccelerate? Accelerate. So when rotor accelerates, the delta value will increase and gradually it will undergo stable oscillations and it will settle down at some higher value. Had the rotor deaccelerate, this is the waveform. These two are absurd. For generator, delta value is always positive. These two waveforms are true for synchronous motor, not for generator. So first thing you have to remember, for synchronous generator, delta naught is positive. So after delta naught being positive, whether you have to now check whether because of this fault, whether rotor is accelerating or deaccelerating. So because if one of the parallel transmission line trips, then the curve will shift from, we already have seen, the curve will shift from which curve to which curve? PE1 to PE3. PE1 to PE3. Okay. So the rotor will accelerate. For acceleration, this is the waveform. This is the waveform for acceleration. Had the rotor deaccelerated, this would have been the waveform. The negative value of delta is for synchronous motors, but not for synchronous generators. So A is the right option. Okay. A lossless single machine system, single machine infinite bus bar power system is as shown below. The synchronous generator transfers 1 per unit power to infinite bus bar. The critical clearing time of the breaker is 0.28 seconds. If another identical synchronous machine is connected in parallel to the existing generator and each generator is scheduled to supply 0.5 per unit of power, then the critical clearing time of the circuit breaker will. That is the question. So initially, one generator is supplying the load. Now he wants to connect two parallel generators of identical capacity. Though they are supplying the same load, there is no change in load also. Then what will happen to your critical clearing time? That is a question. Instead of one generator, he made one more generator in parallel for the same load of 1 per unit. So what will happen when two identical machines share the load in proportion to the ratings? Then they are swinging together. So when they are swinging together, their M equivalent will become M1 plus M2. Since both are identical, the angular momentum value will double in this case when compared to the previous case. Previous case, the angular momentum of one machine is M. Now it will become 2M. Okay. So if you remember your critical clearing time formula, TC is equals to delta C minus delta naught into 2M by PS under root. So your critical clearing time is directly proportional to square root of 2 into M equivalent. So here in this case, the angular momentum, because both machines are swinging together, it has increased. So your critical clearing time also increases by root 2 times, by root 2 times. Why? Because it will become 2 into this one. So the new critical clearing time is root 2 times the old critical clearing time. So here there is no option. So increases beyond 0.28 seconds is the right option. Increases beyond 0.28 seconds. Understand? So that is the concept. A simple logic I am going to tell you. Here by adding one more machine in parallel, you are improving the stability. So when stability improves, the critical clearing time also improves. Okay. So this is the next question. A 500 megawatt, 21 kilo kV, 50 hertz 3-pole, 20-pole synchronous generator is having a rated power factor of 0.9 and has moment of inertia of this one. The inertia constant is. Okay. Here it is 20-pole or 2-pole. Let us say it is a 2-pole machine. 20-pole machine is very rare. So inertia constant H is given by kinetic energy stored in rotor at synchronous speed divided by machine rating in MVA. Machine rating. So kinetic energy is equals to half J omega S square. So omega S is equals to 2 pi Ns by 60, where Ns is equals to 120 F by P. So Ns value will become 120 into F is 50 divided by 2. This is 3000 RPM. Omega S will become 2 pi into 3000 divided by 60. So it will become 100 pi radians per second. So if you substitute in this one, half into J value is this one 27.2 into 10 square into 100 pi whole square divided by rating of machine is 500 divided by 0.9 into 10 power 6. So if you calculate this value, you are going to get, because why? Because MVA is equals to megawatt divided by power factor. Okay, because P is equals to S cos phi. So S is equals to P by divided by cos phi. That is the equation. So if you solve this one, you are going to get the answer as 2.44 second. That is the answer. The H value is 2.44 second. 2.44 second. Understood? So this is about the stability. This question you can practice at home. He's simply asking the critical clearing angle. The option is 79.6 degrees. You'll get. If you don't get it, I'll solve it some other time. Simple substitution of cos delta C. So again, I am writing the formula here. Cos delta C is equals to PS into del max minus del naught. For this case, it becomes PM3 cos del max divided by PM. So if you substitute that, you are going to get 79.6 degrees. Okay.